So what do I do as a single mother overseas when I get sick? Like, who takes care of my babies? And I think the short answer is it's really the same for if you are stateside or in your home country and you get sick as a single mother. The same rules apply. The only real difference is that, especially if you have not moved a lot as a single mother, even within the US, you have to very quickly establish your community as soon as you arrive, or really before you arrive, and then confirm, I guess, that network of people when you arrive. So one of the first things I recommend for every single mother to do when you arrive at a new country is to have already established people you want to meet, other mothers. In a perfect world, it might be other single mothers, but really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they're single or if they are married or whatever. But I do recommend that you immediately look for, and I mean, you would do this work beforehand, but you look for a community of people with kids, because these people, whether they're expats and they have only been in that country, or whether they are other kind of nomads and they travel, frequently, if you've got kids, you deal with how to handle kids being sick or kids being lonely, or where to go to have fun with your kids. Like, all these things can be answered by these groups. So two groups I always recommend to search for, and not every country or every city or every location is going to have these. Please keep that in mind. But you're going to look for homeschooling groups and single mothers. Homeschooling and single mothers. Again, not every location is going to have these. So if you don't have any of those, then the next thing you want to do is just parent groups, or last case scenario is just any expat group. The reason why homeschooling is, for me, the number one group you want to search for is because a lot of homeschooling groups, even if they are predominantly, let's say, American or expat, especially if they've been established for a while, they're gonna mix with the locals. My homeschool group that I'm in has not only expats, not all American, but English-speaking expats, but we also have a decent amount of locals. So that is a lovely mix. So if I've ever got any questions, I've got this group of people that have lived here, some of them for years and years and years, so they can be my resource for, hey, I need help. Once you get to the country, you want to, as quickly as possible, meet these people face to face, and you want to kind of, in a perfect world, create a scenario where you can meet them routinely. Even if it's just once a week, you want to meet them, because the more you get to know them, the more you can trust them, the more they can trust you, and then you can form a community, you can form a friendship, so that if you are ever in trouble, regardless of the type of trouble, these are people you can then turn to and go, hey, I have a problem. So literally, we got here on a Tuesday, and by Thursday, we were meeting people face to face. Now, technically, we met like our host face to face, of course, but I was, again, seeking and searching and looking for these single mom groups. I found a single mom group before I found a homeschooling group, but that's okay, because you find one group and you ask them, are there homeschooling groups? Or you find a homeschooling group, are there single mother groups? And you just see. And even if there's not a group, there might be a single mother participating. Again, they might not have their own special group per se, but search out these people, because they will have experienced some of the things that you are going to experience, and they can be a really great resource of help. It's also a really great way for your kids to connect with other kids. Just like you might be seeking other mothers, I tend to search for people who are just a little bit smarter than me, but they started where I'm at. Does that make sense? So I tend to search for single mothers. I tend to search for single mothers that travel. I tend to search for single mothers that travel, that homeschool. Why? Because this is the world that I am in, but I want to constantly learn the different ways that they're doing it. And single mothers in particular, we tend not to put out content enough. Like, guys, you can find homeschooling content, you can find traveling content, single mothers who homeschool, single mothers who travel, we are far and few in between. So if you don't have a YouTube channel, a blog, or a Facebook page or a group, please start making one, because we need to know where we are so we can connect. But either way, just like you need community, you need to meet other mothers who are going through this or have gone through this. Your kid needs it too. Like being a military brat and my son being a military brat, it's a different lifestyle. Like this is not the norm. So when you meet a community of people, one, your kids just need other friends to play with and other friends to learn from, but it's really nice if they can meet other kids who are doing the same thing. Other kids who are either expats, like if you just want to go to one country and stay there the rest of your life, then your kid would probably benefit from meeting other kids who are staying in that country for the rest of their lives, right? Does that make sense? So they can connect with somebody that understands the experiences they've gone through, because travel life is a little bit different than traditional life, where people stay kind of in the same state, same county their whole life. Like there are people who stay in the same city their entire life, which is really hard, by the way, for me to relate to. But nonetheless, just as those people already have kind of an established community in that same geographical region, we need to establish community with other people that travel the way that we travel, so we can again just learn from each other. And my child needs to be able to periodically vent about his life, about the things he's going through that a traditional child who has never really moved anywhere may not relate to. So getting to know these groups, super helpful. And even if you only have, let's say, a virtual relationship with these people, it's still a huge benefit. Still a huge benefit for your child to be able to talk to other people, other children who are on occasion being kind of forced to travel to other regions, because it just is, right? We all need somebody to vent to, and our kids are no different. So that's one of the first steps, is to research the people in the area you are going to, and then try to meet them as early as possible, because you never know when emergencies happen. Like this is one of those cases where generally in the US, when I would move to a new location, my first week was like getting the house settled. Like I didn't want to meet other people in the area yet because I wasn't unpacked yet. I think when you travel internationally, that's where you kind of go, okay, I'm not fully unpacked yet. I'm not fully ready to maybe meet everyone, but I kind of have to. Like I just have to get out of my shell and meet people, because I don't know when an emergency is going to happen. I need to be prepared for that. And so I need to meet the locals, and I need to ask them these questions. I don't have to ask every question the first day, but I need to make sure I have their contact information. We become Facebook friends, we join a WhatsApp group, like whatever we have to do, so that when a situation occurs, I can ask those questions. Now, that being said, you always want to create kind of a contact card or a contact something for your kid, right there. Because if you are injured in such a way that you cannot take care of yourself / your child, your kid needs a way to contact people. Again, this becomes much more difficult when your child is very young, like a toddler or a baby. And again, this is where that network becomes vital. Vital. You need to have somebody who will check in on you, someone who knows where you live, so that you are taken care of. I hope that makes sense. Like, when people tell me things like they want to travel the world, but they don't know who they can meet, they don't know, if they'll feel isolated. Listen, it's a world out there. There is lots of people. So the second group of people that you're going to get to know are your neighbors, okay? So perhaps your host, whether it is, if you're staying in the hotel, then you would get to know, of course, the people that run the hotel. If it's a Airbnb, you're gonna get to know the Airbnb host, which again, hopefully you've already established this relationship before you show up, as well as just any physical neighbors. You're gonna keep your eyes open for people you can meet and interact with, so that, yes, if something happens and I need help, who are the people I can turn to? Like it's one of those things. And it's not just about whether you get sick. It's how do you get to the doctors? What are the apps you can use? Because each location has different things. So here in Merida, we're huge on Uber. We don't have Lyft, but other locations might have Lyft. Other locations might only have taxis. And so you need to know these things. Mixing with the locals, vital. You have to build a community that's going to help you take care of you, help you take care of your family. That being said, what you also want to learn is just like a life skill, it's like adulting, is how do you take care of yourself from a health perspective? How do you stay healthy, right? If you're eating junk all the time, you have a higher chance of getting sick or getting ill. Like we know this, but I think especially when you are traveling and going to areas where you may or may not have all the things you're used to, learning this information on your off time is pretty important. And the cool thing is you can learn it with your children. So figure out, what are the things I should be eating to keep my health? I'm not saying you have to be a Puritan. I'm not saying you should only eat healthy food. I mean, technically, yes, we should, but let's be real, we're probably not going to, but maybe change the percentages. If every day you were eating unhealthily and only eating unhealthy foods, then maybe you want to mix in, like maybe the first meal of the day, you're going to make sure it's as healthy as possible. Let yourself relax. And once that becomes a habit, maybe you add in, okay, dinner is going to be healthy. I'm going to start and end the day healthy. Let the rest work out. Like little things to incorporate, things like maintaining your hydration, right? Drinking water, things like getting enough sleep at night. If you are physically healthy, then you don't have to worry about getting sick as much, and you don't have to worry about people taking care of your kid. Again, emergencies are emergencies. No matter how healthy you are, you're not going to be able to prevent an emergency where you are incapacitated. Got it? Because multiple things can cause you to go out, because it is what it is. So still build that community, still get to know your neighbors so that you have people who check in on you, who you trust to take care of your kid. And as you get to know them, as you start trusting, figure out, okay, who do I trust to take care of my kid if I am completely out? And make sure your kid knows how to contact them, and or make sure that they contact you, or they are able to come by and visit so that they can see themselves, okay, yeah, you're still good, you're still okay. Oh, and last but not least, if you don't have a will, get a will. I have what I like to call a trusted agent in the US, in my home country, who's got a copy of my will, my power of attorney, my living will, who has copies of my medical information, who knows my allergies, who knows my son's allergies. They have a power of attorney so they can take care of my child. Like, they have all those things stateside. They know where I live overseas. They know the numbers of the embassies. They know the numbers even of the hospitals in the area, so that if they need to help me remotely, they can. And they know the number, they know how to contact my host and my trusted local agent. So that trusted agent is somebody who can take care of my child in the immediate time, right? Like if I die today, we can contact this person and my son will have a place to go today while we wait for my trusted agent to contact my trusted agent in the US so that they can figure out how to get my son back to her. So having a trusted agent and all the related documents that go with that. And here's the thing, I want you to think in terms of a country. If you as a country have a child who is not from your country, whose mother has just died, who are you going to give this child to? Who? Are you going to feel comfortable assuming where this child goes? And this is actually a stateside thing. Like when you die, somebody's going to have to take care of your child. And either you get to decide or the state gets to decide. And let me tell you, I'm much more comfortable letting people know what my desires are through my will, as well as a living will. And a living will is when maybe you're in a coma to where you can't really make decisions. Somebody still needs to take care of my son. Who's that going to be? How are we going to fund it? Like all the things. So the three things you need to kind of manage and figure out is local trusted agent. So that's the local community in the country you're in, who in that area can take care of your child. And the more documented it is, the better. I'm not saying you need a will or a power of attorney in the local country, because quite frankly, that can get really difficult because every country is different. But just having that conversation, just having somebody that goes, hey, I've got this text, this proof, I am the one who's willing and able to take care of this child, and I've got some kind of proof, some kind of document, a form, a letter, an email, something that says, hey, she wrote to me and said, if anything ever happens to me, will I take care of my child? Boom. Done. So local agent, your trusted agent in your home country. So again, if you're gone and your child needs to be shipped back home, who do they ship the child to? Very important. Those are the two. And then last but not least is staying healthy. You know that you need to eat in a certain way to remain healthy. You know that you need to sleep. You know that you need to stay hydrated. You know that you need to exercise. And while I'm not suggesting that you become, pristine and perfect in all these things, little by little learning about it, little by little adding it into your life, you will increase the chance of staying healthy so that none of these things have to actually be used and they can just become that safety net. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, 3 things. Somebody you trust in the local community, somebody you trust at home, and stay healthy. There's a lot more things that I cover in my new book, my 3rd book in the series of single mom travel adventures, safety. But these are probably the 3 most important, or the 3 things that I would focus on first. Walking the dog with my mask on. All this fresh air. Ready?
No.
Set, go.
That was like so easy. I want the pasta strawberry.